Last time on SV Avalon, we visit the seaside village of Howth and take the cliff walk. This time, we go to the oldest pub in Ireland for a night of fairies, folklore, and music.
Back to Dublin from Howth.
It's barely 5 o'clock.
And it's already dark. Actually, is it? It's not 5 o'clock. It's 4:50. And it's already dark out, so welcome to the great cold north. So
we're coming up on the Millennium Bridge.
Yeah.
It's really cool to walk through. It's got these lights that change colors.
Was the Millennium Bridge. Where are we going?
That way.
To the Brazenhead Pub.
We are going to the Brazenhead Pub. It's the oldest pub in Ireland. Opened in 1198. It's a folklore fairy dinner, so it's a storytelling dinner.
Dublin at night.
Bus.
Bus. What happened?
You were dangerous, and you crossed when you shouldn't have.
There was no traffic coming. She just wasn't paying attention.
Coming.
It's not paying attention.
There was. You almost got hit by a car that you didn't even notice because you weren't paying attention.
Not true at all. Not true.
You'll notice that the food, like our menu here, it's pretty basic stuff. You know, it's not, I mean, if we were in France or Italy, there'd be much more taste and there'd be lots of different ingredients. Food in Ireland is about survival. You know, it was about, never mind the quality fielded with, it was about getting quantity into you. So traditional Irish cooking, not today now, but traditional Irish cooking tends to be pretty simple, you know, but then people were very ingenious what they could do with simple ingredients. That the fairy world gave people lots of explanations for why things happened in their lives, why crops failed, why people died. So I want to give you some of the background. Now the Celts, where we are, the Celts worshipped the sun. And in Ireland, you need to have a lot of faith to worship the sun, that's for sure. And top of the list would have to be the leprechaun. The jolly leprechaun, 10 points against us, and let's have another party. Little bit of polishing going on there, because originally the leprechaun was a very minor character in Irish folklore, coming to Irish folklore from Scandinavian treasure guarding elves. And it was said he was expelled from the fairy world for being physically imperfect. Now, the next time you see an illustration of a leprechaun, just note the way he's portrayed. Usually shown as wearing a swallowtail coat, knee-length breeches, brogues, and a high hat. And that was the typical dress of the mid-19th century Irish peasant. And what was going on in the mid-19th century? There was 1.5 million of us heading westwards. And it's just like as if the leprechaun became part of the folklore that travelled with all those poor folks. And of course today, he's the Jolly Green Giant, and up around Chicago, rivers turn green and all sorts of things happen. But let's get the facts straight. The leprechaun is the fairy shoemaker. He's also the keeper of the fairy treasure. But if you catch him, provided you don't take your eye off him for a second, he's duty bound to bring you to the fairy gold. Now, you know the way the fairy gold is stored beneath the rainbow, yes? Yes?
I've seen.
Utter rubbish. Listen, if you were put in charge of the fairy gold, would you hide it underneath a multicoloured spotlight that says, here's the gold? No, you put a little pot of gold, keep the likes of you and me charging around the countryside, but the real treasure is buried. And the story goes, this guy was walking through the forest one day, and up ahead he heard a sound. Tap, 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 tap. And sure enough, in a clearing, with his back to him, totally engrossed, making a little pair of fairy shoes, he sees a leprechaun. He creeps up ever so quietly, grabs the leprechaun and says, take me to your fairy gold. Of course, the leprechaun is duty bound to do so, but it ain't going to go easily. It was over rocks, over fences, over streams, through muddy patches, doubling back all the time trying to distract the guy. Oh, look over there. Oh no, I'm not taking my eye off you. Take me to your fairy gold. Eventually they get to another part of the forest. The leprechaun says, you have me beaten. The fairy treasure is underneath this tree. I'm going to be rich, says the guy, I'm going to be rich. He takes out a red ribbon from his pocket, ties it around the tree, and says to the leprechaun, do you swear to touch the ribbon? The leprechaun says, I swear. The guy charges home for a pick, a spade, a shovel, all the things he needs to dig up the fairy gold, charges back to the forest, and guess what? There's a red ribbon around every tree in the forest. He didn't touch the ribbon on the tree in question, he just duplicated around all the others. Now, on one level, that's just a very simple little fairy story. But bear in mind that we're talking about an oral society. And it was through the stories that the values or morals of people were passed on. So, simple and all as it is, what might be the moral of that tale? And my take on it is, you might have your own, is that if you want something in this life, you got to work for it. You just don't get things handed to you that easily. So even at that very simple level, the fairy world providing a useful role. The hawthorn tree, it's a bush really, very thorny in nature. I believe it's a distant relative of the rose family. It blooms in May, the flowers are beautiful white, the country's awash with the white of the hawthorn. By the way, if ever you're visiting a house in Ireland in May, do not pick a nice bunch of hawthorn. You won't get over the doorstep. But the hawthorn, if it's in a hedgerow, not significant, but if it's on its own in a field or on a hillside, very often said to be the meeting place of the fairies. And just like the fairy forts, people won't go near it for fear of upsetting them that might be in it. We haven't always been that wise. There was a man called Jeremiah O'Donnell. Now Jeremiah was a big man. And he said himself, he was afraid of neither man nor beast in the 12 parishes. And he lived in a place called Inchigeelagh, a beautiful but barren place. A place the best the land could produce each year was a fresh crop of rocks. The only problem was that right on the side of the hill there was part of his land that had the potential for cultivation. And one night he announced to his neighbours he was going to chop down the tree. There was consternation. You can't, that's a fairy. I'm Jeremiah O'Donovan. I'm not afraid of man or beast. Why would I be afraid of a few little old fairies? The following morning he got his axe, sharpened it up. Up the hill he went, swung the axe, and as he swung it, he caught a glimpse of his cottage. His cottage was on fire. Down the hill, up the lane. The cottage was perfect. Well, what he didn't call the fairies, I'm not going to be explicit with the language, let's just say the language was blue. Up he went a second time, got the axe, swung it again. Again, he swung it, he caught a glimpse of the cottage. Cottage was on fire again. Down the hill, up the lane, cottage was perfect. Well, all I can say is if the language was blue the first time, it was royal blue the second time. But not to be deterred, up he goes again, chop, 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 down the hill, up the lane, and the cottage burnt to the ground. The fairies had given him 2 warnings and he failed to heed it. Now, in our more recent history, we've been equally foolish. I'm sure you all at some stage saw the film Back to the Future. Yeah? With the DeLorean car. The DeLorean car, made in Belfast, up in the northeast. And on the site where the DeLorean factory was built, there was a fairy bush, which got demolished in the making of the factory. We all know what happened to DeLorean. Within a year, the factory is closed, and John DeLorean is up on drug charges. The people looked at him and said, well, but there was better than that. Some years after that, they were making a road between the city of Limerick in the southwest and the city of Galway in the west. And the idea of the road was to bypass a lot of little villages. And the route chosen for the new road was going through a place called Latoon, a place where the most famous fairy bush in the country is, the Latoon tree, said for centuries to be the meeting place of the Munster fairies from the south coming back from doing battle with the Connaught fairies from the west. And they'd wait at the Latoon tree for the stragglers, and the plan for this road was going to right through it. There was absolute consternation. There was a publicity campaign organised to save the Latoon tree. There was so much pressure put on the Irish government that at a very, very significant extra cost, the road was redesigned to go around the Latoon tree. And today, if you travel north from Limerick, heading towards Galway, just past the slipway from Newmarket and Fergus, there by the side of the road, in all its splendour, is the Latoon tree. And you know, friends, I just think, yes! I can't change governments, but by golly, the fairies can. So thank you very much for your attention, folks. And I'll be back in after your main meal, okay? I only get our musicians now, okay? Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
But anyway, one of the most famous characters that we have is a woman called Molly Malone. Okay, and Molly Malone was a fishmonger, and she used to sell fish in a place called Moore Street in Dublin. And if you're around the city area at all, there's a statue to her down in Suffolk Street pushing her handcart. The song is called Cockles and Buses on Molly Malone. Very, very easy chorus. Has anybody heard it before? Yeah? If any problems with the chorus, ready for me to know it all. Yeah, very, very easy chorus. I'll sing the chorus first, and we'll all sing it together, and we'll all actually do the song, yeah, okay? So the chorus is easy, but it is. Alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Simple, isn't it? We try it together, will we?
Sure.
You got it, yeah? After the first verse, you got it. Try it once anyway. Alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. In Dublin's fair city, where the girls are so pretty, I first set my eyes on sweet Molly Malone, as she wheeled her wheelbarrow to streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. You ready all together, ready? Alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. She was a fishmonger, sure it was no wonder, for so were her father and mother before, and they both wheeled their barrows, the streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. All together, ready? Alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Sad verse. She died of a fever, no one could save her, and that was the end of sweet Molly Malone. Now her ghost wheels her barrow, the streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Ready, all together. Alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. I forgot to mention at the start of the song, went down to my head completely. We require you to just do one chorus on your own at the end. No pressure whatsoever, but this is it, ready? On your own, you ready? Alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, excellent. Like one more time, ready? Alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Well done, excellent. Give yourselves a round of applause. You're the best audience we had tonight.
That was amazing. And then the GoPro died, so missed half of it on the video, but it was really amazing. I love stories about fairies and all sorts of things. So, and then he started talking about the Tua de Danann, which is what I wanted to ask him about. So that was really exciting too. And the music was great. The music was really, really good. The guy had a great voice, and it was fun.
Very authentic.
I'm really glad
Irish
we went.
songs.
I'm glad we went earlier in the trip. So now we hear some of those songs, we know what they are. It was good.
Yes, the man was like a leprechaun.
He was not a leprechaun. He told us about leprechauns. He was not a leprechaun. He was a storyteller.
Storyteller. Orator.
Master storyteller. I wish I could tell stories that good. He said that they, back in the day, they would apprentice for 12 years to be, storytellers in the different clans. So, a lot of lifetime of practice and love to get where he's at.
Thanks for joining us on another episode. You can learn more about our master storyteller Johnny at irishfolktours.com. Join us next time as we explore Trinity College and Christchurch Cathedral. Have a question or something you'd like to tell us? We'd love to hear from you in the comments below.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe.